1, 2, 3. Yeah. So yeah, we're here. This is gonna be an amazing conversation, Walter. It's been a long time coming, and we'd love to hear your inputs on the various topics we have in store. Majorly, will you need a piece of paper or anything to jot down a few things?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, maybe we can get that as well. Okay, we've resolved that. As always, I'll be your host for this session. The one, the only, the amazing Samuel Obukosia. And today I'm joined by an amazing guy in studio. Maybe I can give him this opportunity to introduce himself.
My name is Walter Justine. Well, could you introduce yourself?
Who are you?
Missy, I'm a nobody. Like,
No, you just tell us. Introduce yourself. Let the world know who's what.
my name is Walter Justine.
Yeah.
I'm 19 years old. I'm passionate about public speaking,
Amazing.
where I help people to be better communicators, to build better relationships with their families, with their friends, and to be able to convince somebody willingly within the shortest time possible. I think my strengths lie in my leadership skills, where I help people towards, where I influence people towards a particular direction of success and maximum productivity, and I am able to handle criticisms very well and deal with them not emotionally but with the facts stated at hand.
Amazing. Amazing. That's our guest for today. And in today's episode, you're going to dive a little bit deeper into unpacking more about identity, more about what greatness entails, more about ambition, more about vision, more about passion within the spectacle of young minds. Yeah, so maybe, Walter, you've talked about helping people become better version of themselves. What does being a better version of yourself look like, and why should people become better versions of themselves?
A better version of yourself.
Yep.
The better version of yourself, for me, it comes to be that person which you've always dreamed to become, or being in that journey of being that person you've always wanted to be, whether it is being that doctor or being that millionaire or pursuing a certain career and helping a person become a better version of themselves. It starts off from being self-aware of who you are,
Amazing.
how you react emotionally to things,
Yes.
whether you have that discipline and consistency to chase what you want. So a person who is the best version of themselves, I think, is somebody who I think the society can accept him for who he truly is, um, based on how he talks, how he dresses, how he carries out himself, and his success goals, his success journey, and everything in between.
Amazing. You've mentioned that's so profound. You've mentioned two words which to me are so dear. One is discipline. That in the journey of becoming a better version of yourself, you need to have discipline. And number two is consistency. Break that down to the most practical steps so that it's more of a pragmatic conversation rather than just an information conversation.
An information conversation.
Yeah, such that now whoever will be listening to these can say, I started doing this because young people like such as me are doing it, such that it's the actions more than just pumping information to some.
Discipline, if I talk about discipline,
Yeah, what would it look like?
discipline for me would look like doing the difficult things, pushing yourself to do the hard things. For example, waking up very young at 4 a.m. Or discipline for me would entail how you eat, how much you intake, your carbohydrates, being able to check on that. Discipline for me would look like being able to wake up very morning and go to the gym. And discipline for me would look like being able to change a current situation which you do not love about yourself. Let's say, for example, an obese person. How willing are you to lose weight to cut on your carbohydrates?
Yes.
For a student, how willing are you, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be an engineer, how willing are you to get down on your books and grind for 8 hours and above? And consistency for me is how long you can be disciplined. You can be disciplined for 2 to 3 days in what you do, but consistency. Can you be consistent for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years down the line? Can you be consistent when you face mountains or challenges? And can you be consistent when you face failure in your journey? So basically, by consistency is how far
Yes.
you are willing to go with that discipline in your life.
Amazing stuff. Discipline, the enduring the pain. Consistency is what keeps discipline going. Amazing. I love that. That's what I've picked. And so you've talked about failure, going on even when failure is still in the question. Let's double click there for a moment. What's your relationship with failure, and how how has failure played a role in shaping the Walter that we have today?
How has failure played a role?
Yeah.
I think failure has played a role in many things in my life, starting from my business wise to where I am right now. I think the best example I can give is academically or politically
Yeah.
on the things that I do. Uh, because apatiana example in high school, so takati part.
Yeah, of course I'll cut, but sitaki kuwa high school sana.
Inakaa
It's
awkward.
high school. Just
Basically,
life voice.
so I tell a story.
Yeah, that is not like high school like. Just maybe in life this happened, a friend did this and this.
Can it be of somebody else?
It can be someone else's story.
It can be somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. When you talk about failure, I think the biggest motivation has been of the late Baba Raila Odinga, who lost the election
Right, honorable.
5 times. He contested and lost for it 5 times.
Yeah.
But he was able to build a legacy in which nobody can match up into it.
Amazing.
Become the father of democracy here in Kenya.
Amazing.
Nobody can fit into his shoes right now, being able to be in each and every government, even considering the failures each and every time. And even though the failures in which he faced, he was able to be loved at the end of it when he died. So I think failure is what shapes us. We learn from our mistakes and we keep on pushing it. And I think it's the journey that matters, even how much you fail, the lessons that you pick from it, how much you learn from it, I think you become a better person each and every time.
Amazing. You rise with each fall.
Yeah, you can
We rise with each fall. And when you talked about having or being someone who is a better version of themselves, you mentioned something about communication. Let's double click there for a moment. One of the biggest challenges with young people, such as myself or our age, is communicating. Not just, most of us, we think communicating is how you just talk, but it's deeper than that. It's bigger than all that, because there's those spoken and there's the unspoken. Because, for example, how you dress says something about you, how you react to a particular situation communicates something about yourself. So, why should young people in general improve their communication, and how can they do that practically?
I think one of the best gifts that we were given by God is how we communicate, how we speak with our tongue, how we carry out ourselves, and how we communicate is able to build our relationships with others, is able to build our opportunities with others.
Because we're social beings.
Social beings, obviously. How you're going to communicate with your mother, how you're going to communicate with your father is not how you're going to communicate to a CEO or a president
Yes.
out there.
No.
So the story of communication, for most people, it seems like a very easy task, being able just to talk to someone, but it can be very difficult. How should you handle yourself? How should you be dressing? Which tone you should be using when you are handling a loved one or handling a person in power? I think it is very important.
Yeah.
And the importance of communication, the factor of building relationships, how we communicate, how we handle things can build or ruin our relationships with
so true.
people, with our families,
So true.
and with our workmates, and everything that encompasses on the ground.
Yeah, true.
And communication can factor in a lot of things, from the way you dress, from the way you talk, how you handle non-verbal cues, and also the effectiveness of communication. How well can you deliver an idea? Because you can have an idea or you can have a thought in mind, but if you can't convince someone into that idea, it's a passion which is in your mind which you cannot give upon. Take for example in TikTok, when you enter Instagram, how fast have you scrolled past a video because the person did not hook you within the first 5 seconds? So many times. How many times have you gone to a preaching? How many times have you been in class? You are sitting there for 2 hours, but when you come out of it, you realize that you haven't picked anything. Was the mistake you, or was it the speaker? How was the speaker delivering
How
the
they
message?
package the information.
How did he package the information?
Yeah, so true.
So, effectiveness of communication, you can have a very great idea, but if you don't know how to deliver it,
Yeah.
it will pass so many people's, it won't click into so many people's minds. So
true.
how do you communicate? How do you communicate to your public? How do you manage to engage someone effectively during communication? This is where it makes the difference when you go to interviews, how you're able to hook your interviewer very well into your idea. You can have all the papers, you can have everything, but how you communicate, it will determine whether the next doors will be opening. Because as I continue to say, you can have a very bright idea, but if you can't hook someone into it,
Yep.
it will be just be a passion which will not be lived into.
Amazing. Let's shift gears a bit and try to talk about maybe a time in life where your communication did something, changed your situation, or um, or it just helped you acquire something you wanted at that particular time, uh, in the way that now brings the importance, or just reinforces the importance of it all in that. Because I feel like uh, when you become a good communicator, it transverses just that, because you're now able to take more risks. You're able to take more risks because now you're confident in yourself. And good communication basically starts with how good um, you, how confident, how self-confident you are in. Because imagine 75% of people in the world are fear, just fear public speaking as in general, which is the fear of public speaking, and we call it glossophobia. Um, and if you're able to, and within even the 25% of the people who don't fear, very few are good orators or good communicators. Why is it a skill that you, as Walter, you're investing in? And what would your ideal outcome of investing in that skill be?
I can tell you a story of how not having very good communication has ruined many of my personal relationships. Take, for example, when a friend of mine was handling a breakup.
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
she's a very old friend of mine.
Yep. Yep.
She was handling a breakup with the husband, and communication. The wife. Okay, my friend was the woman most of the time. A lot of people would try to advise her on what she should do, on why she should stay on the marriage, but how she used to talk and communicate with the people with a very harsh tone, with point of authority of knowing better, it's made a lot of people repelling from her
Mm. She was
because
pushing people
she
away.
was pushing people away. So how she was communicating with these people made cut a lot of relationships, which I think nobody was on the wrong, her breaking up or other people trying to advise her on what she should do. But I think how she was communicating with other people, it made her push people further away. Communication has also been, before I started really venturing into communication, how I communicated with those above me. Let's say my lecturers were saying, unatumia academics
No,
hapa
you're the
university,
one in charge of the
you're the one in
conversation.
charge. This is so difficult. Even I find it so hard. To cut to your part up. How you're able to, I think, how I communicate with my lecturers. I think there was a time in which I was very arrogant in how I communicate with people who are in power way above me, which made those who are above me to see in a light which is very negative. Let's take, for example, I once attended this, okay, a week ago, I once attended this ceremony, and I came wearing a stud to the ceremony. So the big question is, and I was given this chance to speak to people in front to portray something, and there were senior doctors at the event, and I was wearing a stud. The big question is, I was already communicating my way of dressing, which is very unprofessional. Uh, you haven't really talked with the person yet, but the person already has an idea, a perception of what this
They can even
person might
dismiss
be.
you.
You can be even be dismissed. When I think I'm a very good person generally, but the way you dress, how you saw you that day, the first perception in which
Before they hear you, they must see you.
they must see you, so you already judge at that point
big time
about the person that I am. So yeah, the effectiveness of how well you communicate, because communication is not just about how you speak, about how you dress, how you are able to approach someone, your actions towards them. You communicate the type of person you are, how you keep your hair, you communicate the type of person you are. And I think communication is very important because you get that point, somebody is able to judge you just by looking at you, the basis of that. So how you communicate, first-hand communication or first-hand impression is able to build relationships, is able to build careers, how people see you, how people will also handle you, because you have to take into consideration when you go into an interview or when you talk to somebody senior, that you have to consider that this person does not know you, he knows nothing about you. Okay, maybe he has been able to read the CV, but the person absolutely knows nothing about you. So the little things, how you portray yourself, how you dress, you have to judge according to that. How you greet, how you smile, have to judge according to that. According to that, or let's say, for example, in the internet, how do you think when you see someone in the internet drinking alcohol, having fun parties, what perception do you have with that person when you see him on a video on TikTok? What perception do you have with that person? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, it will portray a picture of maybe someone who's not like
yeah. Okay. Take for example.
Who's not things
let's take for example how communication, how not just speaking can bring the ruin of relationships. Let's, for example, allegation of rape cases.
Yep.
Let's just speak on that matter alone. Yes, I know Donald Trump won the election, but one of the allegations which he had on him was that he allegedly raped a woman, which is he's innocent until proven guilty. But just that notion that is out there that he raped someone is able to speak volumes about the kind of person he is. So I tend to think most people in which you meet do not know you personally, so they will be forced to judge you on the very few matters. Maybe the 30 minutes that you meet with him is the way he'll be able to judge and tell the person that you are. So it is very important to practice to be the best version of yourself, the best version of yourself, how you want the world to view you. That when you enter into such scenarios, within the first 30 seconds, you're able to click to a person, the kind of person
You
you
already
are.
have you have them hooked.
You have them hooked on your behaviors,
Yeah.
how you communicate, how you handle your job, and everything. So,
Amazing.
yeah.
And now away from now the communication and better version of yourselves and all that. You're Walter and you have a life. What are 3 things you'd want to do for the rest of your life? Like you just want to do them.
The things I
Yeah.
do for the rest
So
of my
I'll
life.
give you an example. So there's this man, amazing host. I love how he does moderation. He's called George Ndirangu. So at one time he was speaking to a community of entrepreneurs called the Attic Chapter, and he said 3 things he would do forever, or he broke it down into 3 things, the things that he wanted to do forever. He said travel, he said conversation, and he said fashion. And then I realized it was not, he was not speaking about doing 3 things. It was actually all one thing. Because what he does, he moderates worldwide conversations. So he's in conversation, he's moderating. And when he's seated on that panel or communicating, he's dressed in a way that is appealing. So that's fashion. And then for him to get to those places, there's travel. So I tend to think maybe it's another way of just asking you if you're to break your passions and stuff you'd want to do as one thing into 3 things that are now action words or nouns, what would they be?
The first word that is coming to my mind is lead. When I say about leadership,
Yep, nice.
mm, be able to influence people towards
So influence, lead, influence.
direction. So influence the first part thing and be able to do for the rest of my life. Making money, I do, yeah.
Okay.
That's just the second part which has come into to
Okay.
my mind, and
But not to that point. Maybe, do you think you can achieve your dreams without money?
without money. Oh, okay.
Because maybe we seem to tie everything to money, money, money. But actually, the things that if it's your dream, it's something that should be bringing you fulfillment. So I'm tending to being inclined to the thought that you can really achieve your dreams without money, necessarily without yourself making money or having money. And again,
Okay, personally for me, I think the target is always to become better. Um,
in all
okay,
aspects,
in all
or
aspects. So when
just
I talk
financially.
about being better, being able to accomplish milestone after milestone, going for something better each and every time.
Yep.
Um, whether it is academically, finishing a degree, then going for masters. And I think one of the easiest way in which you can measure how far you're going is through currency, how much you're making. I know you can. There are many ways in which you can measure success. It's very different for very many different people.
Yep.
If we talk about success, there are people who their definition of success can be having a fulfilling relationship.
Yep.
Their goals in life can be having a
Tied to that,
husband and a wife and just having
being a family person. Yeah.
being a family person. Another person, the definition of success can be spiritual, getting to know God better, to be able to interpret the word
Yeah,
better.
that's
That
actually what I mean.
can be
Yeah,
fulfilling for somebody
yeah,
else,
which requires zero money.
which requires zero money, which is very true. So for me, my definition of success is being in a position where I'm at a point of influence. We can go back to those three questions, being in a position of influence towards a certain direction, towards achieving or bringing out what is best out of them productively. And one way in which people have that much influence, or what is very common for people who are in influence, is how much currency you have in your mind. Uh, let's state, for example, our one leaders. Do you think they'll be in that position if they didn't have money? Let's say, for example, President William Ruto. What was he chasing? He was chasing being the president of Kenya, a title, I can say, a title. Do you think he'll be able to reach that point without the amount of crazy money that he has? Hmm. So I think for my dream of being in a point of influence one day, I think it is pretty realistic that there's a kind of amount can be needed to have financially. So I think based on those three questions, the first point will be leadership. And leadership,
You want to have, the
yeah,
different ways of getting influence.
yeah, getting influence.
Yeah. So you want your influence to be based on leadership.
And leadership.
Okay.
Yeah, based on leadership. And one of the best ways in which you can be in a position of influence is how much money you have. I think it's very true that definition of success, money will not make you okay. You don't have to have money to reach most of your goals. I think you can accomplish them without money if you have the right perception, discipline, and consistency, which we talked about. But I think it's much easier when you are in a position of good financial background. Much easier to accomplish some of these dreams. Let's set, for example, Elon Musk, a point of influence. One of the reasons you can say Trump won in the election was based on the influence Elon Musk had.
Which is not from leadership.
Yeah. But I think also it's a point from financial, how being the owner of Tesla and everything, that perception that you had an electric cars being that environment. And
so I think
my perception is okay.
What you're trying to say.
To that point, for Elon Musk to be in that position financially, having that crazy amount of money that he has, and
but why do you think he has that much money?
First of all, the biggest issue I think, which most people, which is he never stole.
Yeah, what did he do?
Okay. I'm not I don't know much about Elon Musk, but
okay. Or just think of anyone who has good amounts, like
good amount of
like a good cash flow and stuff.
Good cash flow. Yeah. For people like him, they came from a very stable background.
Okay. How does one, in short, my question is how does one make money?
That question. Okay. Yeah. He came from a very wealthy background, from likes of Jim Wanjigi, Elon Musk, the Kenyatas, but there are a lot of people who are from that financial background, but they have not been able to reach that level which Elon Musk is
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
Instead, for example, we have sons of footballers like Ronaldo. Can we say that they're the same level like Elon Musk, or will they be able to reach that level of Elon Musk, which is they won't be able. So I think apart from being from a wealthy background, I think it's how they think, how they handle themselves, the kind of discipline they have to tackle problems which are around them, how they handle themselves, and a series of being lucky. Luck, I think, also luck plays a very important role in being somebody like Elon Musk or Manjigi. But in the end point, I think people like Elon Musk are in that position because the way the person thinks is very, very different from how an average person thinks. The discipline that the person has, the motivation, and just the intelligence to identify a problem, having that energy and that thing to be able to tackle
Thank
that
you.
problem.
Thank you. Now, to my point, he simply made money by bringing value to the world,
Mhm.
by probably birthing a solution, right? And therefore, it's true he came from a, or people, we are all different, but there's just more than just, there's more to it than just coming from a rich background. I mean, despite you coming from either sides of either extremes, you're a human being. And there's, I highly believe, forgive me for my faith, I'm apologetically Christian, that there's a higher calling that is tied to a person than just their background, than just having money and that being their end goal. Of which, if the bottom line being that if you create the value for the world will always reward you for that. And the persistence, one of my good friends always told me this, that the universe will always listen to a persistent soul. So it doesn't matter because maybe they came from there, right? It's a point of privilege. But it depends with how you use that privilege or how you don't use it. And that's why it comes back to um, vision is a is a picture of the future that produces passion. You're being driven by passion, not the thing about money. Because maybe you've pictured a world that is, you feel that I think if this thing is done in this particular way, it produces passion with you. Not that you're chasing money, but because you're creating value in the world in a way that is not seen. And I love it. I love it that way because maybe if you come from privilege, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from maybe 50. And therefore it's for you to maybe think of how I take the 52 to the rest,
Yeah.
other than starting from scratch. So basically that was what I meant. It's not about, money should not be the end goal for any particular person. Money is good, but I think when you get in touch to your when you touch to your the frequency of what you are called to accomplish in the world, the whole basis of your existence, it's it's more it's it's a powerful way of expressing yourself and doing the things that you do. Maybe when that becomes your compass, you you become a better human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I think it's a very good set point from what you're talking about. Yeah. And I think mostly we talk of how these people were able to reach into that certain point, but what is never talked about is the discipline
Yeah,
which
the
the person
process,
has, the process.
how
What are the
the getting the
chances?
hands
What are the
dirty.
chances that you have the same discipline, you have the same mindset of perspective. You you approach your things on your daily lives.
Yeah.
So
That's why he's a template. I think if we look at him as a template, then it's just births something in you. Because there's this African proverb I love that uh, the cat that wants to be, is it the cat that wants to be a lion? It must lose its appetite for rats.
okay.
So powerful, man. Think of it. If you want to become a lion, maybe in this case, let's look at Elon Musk as a template, being the lion.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm getting the point. But
And then there's a cat. So,
the big question is, most people want to be into that level in which
but they're not willing to pay the price for it.
but they're not willing to pay the price of it. Okay, the big question is, do you think Elon Musk could be Elon Musk without the financial background which he had? Which is very true.
Let's not think of it that way, because it's just the way it's happened. It was his way of it just was formed in that particular way.
But I think it's also a very sequential series of luck. I think it was very likely to be from that very background, but how he's able to handle himself, how he's able to that discipline, being able to. Okay, the big question is, if how confident are you? Okay, we are not speaking about finance. How confident are you if you are in that financial background as Elon Musk, be the same person as he is right now?
We wouldn't be the same person, because he got in touch with what he had to do and accomplish in life.
Why do you think you want to be the same person as what Elon Musk is, even with the finances that he had even before?
Because I think of it this way: we're both human beings here. Maybe we can take the same path in life. For example, career-wise, maybe we're both we decide we can be both engineers, for example, but our destinies are different.
Okay.
Your destiny is as unique as your fingerprint.
Okay, there's also this saying, it's in the Bible. It's just this Pastor T was talking about it. The race is not for the swift, when the battle not for the strongest, time it continues, but time and chance happens
to them all.
And Pastor T was talking about how time and chance happens to everybody. It doesn't matter that we are very rich, like Elon Musk, but for that even poor person, there's a time in the universe where time and chance will happen to that person. So the question is, how ready will you be when that
preparation
and chance comes at your doorstep? Because I think for Elon Musk, destiny, he had a
different one, try to just think of it this way: same siblings. We have two siblings from the same household. They're born with the same conditions, raised with the same conditions, they're taken to the same schools, but the outcomes are completely different.
Yeah,
because I think the whole essence of life is just knowing your calling. What are you called to do in life?
Which is also, I think, is a big question of how self-aware.
Yep.
I think.
And how much in connection you are with your creator. Because, for example, the person who created this microphone, if maybe you're new to whatever it's supposed to be doing, who would you ask? The one who created it. That's why there's this quote I love that says, the purpose of a creation is always with the mind of is always in with the creator, and that's why it's very important to be in touch with us, with the higher spiritual being.
About self-awareness.
Yeah, nice self-awareness.
Do you have a definition of being self-aware?
Yes, I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about it, first of all? Let me hear your thoughts.
Self-awareness. I think for somebody who is self-aware is somebody who is very conscious on his actions, how he handles themselves, his definition of wrongs and the decision. Let's take for example, will you be self-aware when somebody offends you? You self-aware that right
It
now
actually hurt me.
I am mad that this person. Are you self-aware when you're happy? You're able to say that right now I am happy. Are you self-aware when you're able to pinpoint that sometimes the person close to you is not the problem and
Yourself.
the real problem? And finance also comes into definition of success. What's your definition of success?
Mm-hmm.
Are you self-aware on that session? Or your definition of success, is it something that your parents forced down into you? Is for most people, maybe in this generation, maybe in our past generation, academics worked for them, for our parents. Going to school, getting a degree. They've never seen somebody driving a vehicle, but through that degree, they're able to drive a vehicle. Is getting a degree also a definition of success to you in getting those papers? Is it a definition of success to you? Being the person that you are right now, the paths that you're taking, are you doing them because somebody told you it's the correct way or something you want? The big question also is how many people even know what they want in life?
But it's been forced on them.
It's been forced on them on how, like, it's been told that medicine and surgeries are
Lucrative.
lucrative.
You'll be successful that way.
You'll be successful that way. Do you want to be a doctor because of passion, because you love the craft, or because it was forced down onto you, it was told onto you that it's a lucrative idea? I think most people don't know what they really want in life. That's why the question of self-awareness, that's why they can't push themselves to become a better version of themselves. That's why they can't push themselves or have that discipline. Because let's say, for example, if you are a very good student, let's say the best example is here in Kenya.
Yeah.
When you pass your examinations, what's the most ideal place you're going to end up yourself?
Why your parents want you? In medicine and surgery. Yeah.
It's engineering.
Yeah.
And when you get to university, it's already laid down unto you. Let's set for surgery and medicine because we're in the same thing, so we can get to very well. You've passed the examination, the next process is cruise spot on, get placed in a certain university. Everything is lined up for you. When you enter a lecture hall, you're going to start with anatomy, engineering anatomy, and it will be continued for you. It's already laid down unto you, but Self-awareness, I think, is it also, if you're self-awareness, it also gives you the discipline to go into uncharted waters.
Yeah, roads that
Yeah.
are not taken. Because this is what I believe. Um, you can be so successful in any field, any,
Mhm.
whether it's
Yeah.
food technology, yes,
Whether
whether
it is
it's
business, whether it's
yeah,
teaching,
whether it's teaching, whether it's just the what, even shaving, just giving people good haircut.
good haircut.
I think we've idolized a lot of things that shouldn't be idolized for.
Shouldn't be
Yeah.
idolized. So I think for the conversation, when we talk about self-awareness,
Yep.
if you're self-aware, I can just come up and say, very public speaking.
Yep. And you
Is
pursue that.
there a forming like a literary forming out there about public speaking? You have to get
I
into
mean, no. Information. Right now, we are living in an era where information is everywhere.
information circular. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know that. But do you have
I
that?
think
Do you have that discipline to everything is available on YouTube right now? Do
yeah.
you have that discipline to just go public speaking?
If you
Because you're
if you
self.
are if it sparked something in you, trust me, you'll go down
You can go down
down
it.
the
If it sparks something,
yep.
and if it sparked you, I think if it sparked you, you're very self-aware in what you
Mhm.
want in your life.
Mhm.
So when you go into YouTube, one of the most obvious things when you go search up something like YouTube, there's no systemic course in which it will be there. It will just bring up a couple of videos about
Yes.
public speaking.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you don't
I
know if
get
you're
your
getting the
point. I
point.
get your
Yeah.
point. But then
But
this
if it's structured, if
yeah.
you're not very simple, if something is forced on to you, you don't have that aspect of being very self-disciplined.
Okay. Now let me kick back.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me kick back on that. I think there's something we really got so wrong. And it's that for you to acquire any skill, you need to go to a structured form of learning,
Yeah,
which is, yeah. Because think of it, in the past, people didn't usually go to school to study. In fact, the person who invented education, I ask this all the time, was it God? I don't think it was. It was this Rockefeller guy who saw that the Industrial Revolution needed workers, and so we needed to take these workers through a structured form of teaching so that they're prepared for that. But think about right now, we are facing another revolution, which is the digital revolution and the artificial intelligence coming together. I think when you're in your 20s, it's your time to be confused. You don't need to figure everything out. If today you love public speaking and the next day you love data science, it's okay. I think that's how you become self-aware.
I think
It's
that's how
it's not it's not like there's a journey that I should teach you, Walter, how to become more self-aware. Not at all. It's about you exploring. There's this concept I love from the book from a book I've ever read. It's called Algorithms to Live By, and in that book there's a law called explore and exploit, where simply you see maybe right now algorithms try to explore stuff, then the people exploit on that. So, for
Okay.
example,
Yeah. Okay.
it's a field you really love, you exploit.
But okay, the question is for most people, I think for people who are not very self-aware, I think there comes the problem in which everything is really structured.
You'll be
So
generic, so
very
generic, yeah.
yeah. And that push to just go to look for something because okay, the point I'm trying to bring out finances, shaving, swimming, sports. Right now in the digital era, everything is literally you can find it.
Yep, so true.
But do you have the discipline to just go look up to it and do more research about it?
Do I?
Yes, do
Yeah,
you?
do I? Me, I do.
I know you
But
do.
for
But for
most
most
people,
people,
it's I mean, we also struggle with it. It's not like we're perfect,
And yeah,
but yeah, we struggle with doing that. And it's very unfortunate when you're trying to get to something and you see no results. And you see that's the problem. We've been, I think we've been given a bait or a rat race where for everything you do, there has to be like a consequence. For example, you go to
action,
school,
reaction.
yeah, in that particular sense. For example, you're going to school and university for this number of years. What will be at the end? A degree, a job. Like there's a bait of just something. But when you go to YouTube, it's like you'll see there's no actual result in that.
Yeah,
But what truly shapes you is the process, like we just said earlier.
but
It's the becoming that it makes it all just amazing, an amazing thing to
and
do.
do you think the journey of self-awareness, trying to
Discover yourself.
discover yourself,
Because it's being self-aware, discovering yourself from within.
from within,
Yeah. I
And I
love
also
to give
think,
this example of Avatar. I mean, we all grew up with Avatar, The Last Airbender. You know, when we talk about this, it always starts within, such that this guy has to be so self-aware that they have the characteristics of all elements within them, or else you'll just blow up in that particular sense. So it's bringing balance within yourself so that what comes outside you simply doesn't affect the state of things.
okay, so let's bring up this question: how does somebody become?
That's why
Because
it's a journey.
it's a journey.
Yeah.
When I
We
talk
say
about,
there's no structured way.
yeah, that's why I'm trying to bring out the
Yeah.
in a journey of
How
becoming
do you-
self-aware. There's no structure because I'm also in a podcast right now. When you talk even about emotionally being self-aware, self-awareness means you're able to identify yourself, to describe yourself. If
I
you're
know
not-
I know what it will take. It will take just one thing,
Okay.
which is intentionality. If you're not intentional about it, no matter how you just think about it, you'll never get to the point you want to. You have to be so intentional that now I want to have this journey of myself, knowing myself so well. I think that's what it takes. Once you're intentional about anything, that's the moment you'll go to the extremes of discovering whatever you want to get. Because trust me, where do you go? I think we're always in search of something. When you're intentional, you're always looking for something, and it's at the moment you get it that can be now the win. That's what gives you the dopamine hit. So I think that's the best answer to that question.
Um, let's dive into another topic.
Yep.
I'm going to ask questions.
Yeah, you're allowed.
What's your perception on the youth right now being told to take things slowly? Not a must make millions in your 20s. Living millions.
What's my
40 or 50s,
perception?
yeah.
You realize that the people who say that to you are the people who started even earlier than you, younger than you are. So we have this system of gatekeepers who just are looking down upon young people, always seeing them as incapable people. But in actual sense, I think when it's this phrase I say that before you earn, you must first learn. So it takes humility to be a lifelong learner, and it's in the process of learning that you realize you're becoming someone so valuable.
Because I was having this conversation with my friend, it was just today. It was about forex and money market fund and everything. There's a lot of propaganda going online.
But I also have another
let me
question.
just
Yeah.
finish my question.
Yeah, I also
There's
have
a lot of-
another question.
Okay,
To that.
there's another propaganda.
Yeah.
How
Why
about forex and
yeah.
everything.
Why
But
is it?
the question is, how many people are willing to learn about forex
And now my question comes in there. Why is it every time we think about creating wealth, the first place we think about is forex? As young people, why is it that way?
as young people? It's because I think most of the
Shortcuts.
people.
We want
no,
shortcuts.
I don't think it's about shortcuts.
Yeah. Okay, because I don't argue.
I don't think. I think. It's
I think I
because,
love to edit this part out because it's so controversial.
Mm.
But why is it that way? Why is it that when you think about creating wealth, I'm just like,
okay, let me talk about my
forex.
perception. Because most of the young people in which I see around me on internet, the algorithm which is pushing a lot of the people who are driving, the first thing in which
That's it. That's simply it. We want the results without the work.
without the
And
work.
it never works that way.
Mhm.
I think we need to just debunk that. There's no just overnight success.
Overnight success, yeah.
And it's
And
so unfortunate because it will make you not become the person you're actually meant to become. Trust me on this one. When you start in the journey of being you and being in the world, the whole essence of being in life is being someone who's your uniqueness is that's something that gift that God has put in you that no one else has. Imagine if Jesus, okay, he had a mission. Like I just usually try to think of it that he had a mission, and his mission was to save mankind. I think everyone has just that mission. Maybe there's something that God has called you to do. There's something that I'm called to do, and it's at the end of the day when I'm accomplishing that, my desires are also fulfilled, such that that car will come, this other thing will come, this other thing will come, this other thing will come. Do you understand? And it's again the process that gives you grounding, because trust me, if with great responsibility comes great pain. I mean, if I give you 10 million today, you will you'll not you will not be as wise with it as someone who actually earned it. Like from actual work, like from talking to investors, taking a product to a customer. It won't be the same type of the same type of joy.
but I think, okay, yeah, what I'm gathering from home, the conversation about how many youths want that shortcut.
Yeah, it's a shortcut way. That's full stop. There's no
They
other
don't
thing.
want to work on it.
Yeah,
They don't want to identify that there is a journey in which you have to
yeah,
pass through
yeah.
and to get to that position. And back to the question about taking it slowly. The point is, at what age do you want to kick
Nice.
start off?
Nice. That's what I wanted to talk about.
What are you waiting for?
You're a human being. I think the thing that you can afford when you're young is delusion and ambition. They become more expensive as
Do
you
you
get older.
think it's going to be delusional?
It's not wrong because you can afford it right now. The ambition you have right now is so different with a 40-year-old who's not yet achieved the targets he wanted to achieve, because now that he feels they're much difficult to achieve. That's why I'm saying it's easier to achieve those two things: delusion and ambition. It's so easy to afford them. Taking it slow, you see, the only thing that makes it so overwhelming is what I said earlier. We want to measure your growth with more, we want to measure it more with financially than maybe physically or emotionally. We don't want to consider these aspects, other aspects of life, or even mentally.
Okay, I think personally for me, that's also what we were just previously talking about. You have to be very self-aware on yourself, on what you want into life.
Yep.
And everything.
Yep.
You might come to realize your definition of success is
So different from what other people have.
From what other people think. I think in which it's a fulfillment for being joyful and everything, having that peace. In which
so true.
that conversation of being self-aware. What is it that you want in life? Not what your parents people, the society is trying to force into you, or
Yeah.
something structured,
So true.
which it's in a line.
Yeah, and me just wanted to debunk these. Never measure your success with money. That's so wrong. That's
Okay, do you think it's
that's
a
wrong.
I think,
It's a wrong perception. Me, I think it's just, to me, it's a very wrong perception.
I think there are very many different ways to measure your success.
But it doesn't have
and
to
I
always.
think
It doesn't
doesn't
have to always
always
be money. Yeah,
but
but many people want to measure it that way.
measure it with money.
Yeah, because to you, success as a 20-year-old, maybe it's having that nice, like getting money, a lot of money. Where does that money go afterwards? Let's just ask that ourselves, that question.
Where does that money go?
Yeah, if today you make it the success that you want, you have 10 million bob in your bank account. For most young people, trust me, it will just be chaotic on our streets here, on our roads. It will be so chaotic because they're not responsible with the cash.
Responsible with cash. Yeah, okay. That begs the question. If can you quantify? Okay, what's the measure of success? That's another question. If you quantify success to be money, and you identify a particular goal, by this age and age, I want to be having 10M, or
Good.
what after
Yeah.
you hear that?
One, to the first question, I think my measure of success is how much value I'm creating to the world. If that makes sense. How many problems am I solving? Because my ideal measure of success will be I'm seated somewhere and 100 or 1,000 families are able to put food on their table simply because of the idea that God put in me.
And do you think you can answer that question if you're not self-aware of yourself?
It depends with how well you know yourself. True. Then the second question, which you've said about, you talking about at what age, I think the best thing to do is, as a young person, never give your dreams deadlines. Never give your dreams deadlines, because if you're putting the work, if you're putting the discipline, if you're putting the consistency, it can happen overnight. I think that's the beauty of life, that we never know what happens in the next second. Can be talking here at this particular time. The next time, maybe I'm in Albania. I'm doing something different.
But from what I'm gathering from the conversation, it's something that I also wanted to do on TikTok,
Yeah.
my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Self awareness. I think
It's
personally for you to be able to identify that, also definition of success and everything, you have to be very
true. And that comes with one, intentionality, and then two, spending a lot of time with yourself. Yeah. Do you talk to yourself, Walter?
Of course I do talk to myself.
What do you tell yourself? What are the narratives you tell yourself? Because those also matter. Because there are some people who just talk to themselves and they're like, you know what, I'll smash that lady tomorrow. Those are the kind of, I want to smash this person, I want to do that.
Yeah, I think, okay, that also begs another question. Yeah, I think the conversation that you have right now in my mind, what do I want to be in life right now? Okay,
and in that specific wavelength, when you say what do I want to become, is it tied to a profession?
It's not tied to a profession.
Because if it's tied to a profession, then it's very wrong. I think let me just speak about one of the area of interest I really love. What artificial intelligence will do, it will be so disruptive, and I'm pitiful to the people who want to become things. Remember this question, who do you want to become when you grow up? I think that's so wrong. Because look at the disruption that artificial intelligence will cause, will be such that someone looks at themselves in the mirror and they don't see a human being. That's the biggest trap. And you see a doctor. That's so bad. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you're seeing a doctor, not a human being, that's so wrong. or you're seeing an engineer. That's so, I think, I don't know if you get the
Okay, I'm getting the tone
yeah.
there with
So
me.
when you start seeing yourself for the human being you are, it becomes so easy for you to morph into becoming very different things and creating. I think the best thing you can ever do is just create value in the spaces that you are in. If these conversations that we're having right now create value in the world, I think that's success to me.
Let's dig into something deeper in which you were talking about. When you are now, when you are alone, would you speak about
Yeah,
yourself?
so important.
What do you think makes the difference? I want to give many scenarios. One is for my parents, my dad. So just yesterday I was talking to my mom and I was asking this question. They are both, in their degree wise, they are both teachers. That's what they did for profession. And my dad decided to become just very consistent with teaching and everything. He decided to go with it. But my mom, on the other hand, okay, he just finished the degree, but for her, teaching was not a passion according for him. He decided to be proactive. It comes so many years right now, 20 years. I've been able to look at both the angles because I'm the first one. Okay, let me just state, let me just put a spade a spade.
That's up
That's a
to you.
very big question. You know?
Yeah.
What do you think makes a difference that my mom, okay, I think my mom is more stable, six-figure job. Of course, in Kenya, she is
Dollars.
not, not right now, but my dad is still on that forming of being a teacher. If you know how much teachers are being paid, not that very well, but according to his plan, it was to be a teacher, senior teacher, deputy, and head teacher, and everything. What do you think was very different? Okay.
I wasn't in that
In the both
situation, so I
scenarios,
can't
yeah.
speak to that.
You can speak
So
about
if
that.
that
Okay,
is the
yeah.
question,
Yeah.
please provide the answer.
Another question is, what do you think it's so different that one person in the mind, the next thing is which lady am I going to smash? Or on Friday, which club am I going to? And for another person, it's very different. What is thinking about what does he want to be in life, or how can I become a better person in every day, or
I can
how
tell you
much
two
money
things.
can make.
I can tell you two things. One, it depends with what is driving those people. One is being driven by, I'll say it without fear. One is being driven by hormone and pressure. Another one is being driven by ambition.
The ambition.
And it's so different. When you're curious about how your hormones can take you where, I mean, the thing is this: knowledge will always feed your curiosity. If you're curious to know what can happen when I go to a club and do this and this, the more you do, the knowledge you have when you do that, will just feed that curiosity and you'll get the results. So,
okay, I've been in both.
We're driven by different things.
By different things.
People are driven by very different things.
And
what do you think drove you in that other scenario?
Which other scenario?
That you said, because you said you're in both situations.
Because I've been in both situations, and don't you think it's the people that you're being exposed to?
100%. Your environments matter.
The environment, the people that you.
Yeah, you're an average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with.
Because there's this conversation we're having right after education. One of the most important things that can come after education is how much exposure you're going to have. And I think exposure, let's just take, for example, have you ever tried to have a conversation with a typical village gang exposed to no social media and everything, and somebody who is exposed to social media and not how it's very different. Both of them went to high school and they finished. How they talk is very different. So the exposure, the friends that are around us. I think if the conversation is just right about sex,
You'll always drive. You'll always be. It will always be where you're driving. Yeah. See, that's why I said you pressure. Very important. Yeah.
pressure.
You're being driven by pressure from your environment. That, and we have to agree. We have so different realities. And I love these Japanese people who think in decades or think in the terms of the seventh generation. The thing about um, young people, it's for most of us, trust me, we think uh, there's just a wave of short termism, if there's such a word. But we can't think about implications of whatever I'm doing 10 years from now. We want to think about the moment. Okay, it's not bad. But when you start thinking in that particular way, it starts shaping you into something different.
And what do you think can make someone to start thinking towards this direction?
It's being aware. It's being aware. Doesn't it's awareness. Doesn't mean it's self-awareness in that.
Awareness.
I think there are different levels of awareness, and it's just awareness in this particular sense because it will shift how you answer the questions you're asking yourself. It's just awareness.
Because okay,
Yeah.
there are a lot of questions even when you talk about being podcast, like you introduce yourself. Let's just go to a very simple ground.
Yeah.
Like when you talk about in a podcast, definition of success. Introduce yourself. What other question? What do you want to be? Where do you want to be in 10 years? What are you doing right now to make it in that 10 years?
Those are typical podcasts, but
Typical.
Think about the conversation you had yesterday.
And I think it's just starting from
It's about
yeah.
it's about depth.
Okay.
Yeah. The people who are shallow. The people who are deep.
Define that for us.
And I mean the shallow is in terms of what I was saying. You're thinking short term because of the realities that you have.
Okay. So I think these are very important questions which as a person to be able to answer very comfortably. What do you think I can do very different? You know that if somebody asked me spontaneously that question, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? Something is going to engage in your mind very fast.
It means you ask yourself, it's like you. I think we're in the era where the question is more important than the answer. And so, you remember that what I was saying, which conversations to develop myself? Trust me, for me, on a daily basis, I must ask myself a question. And I'll get to the bottom of it. So that the next time you're asking me such a question, it's like I already have, it's not like I have an answer, but I had already asked myself that question. And therefore, I'm more aware.
About awareness. You asked me a question about my parents.
I mean, if you're free to share it here,
No,
yeah,
I
I
share
have
it.
good.
Today.
Yeah.
I think we can bring some, but I think what comes very different is
I love
the time of motion.
Yeah, I love it this way. There are two people. I think there are two people you can always.
I think like let's just if okay, the common example in which we're just talking about Elon Musk. He had brothers and everything. What do you think made it so different that both of them? This Elon Musk.
I mean, I think there's a level you just get tired of normality. You just become curious and you just start asking yourself questions. I think when you start asking yourself these questions, what would be of these? What would be of these? What if I sat down with Walter and I just asked him questions and called it a podcast and we put it out there, then it changed lives? What if I do this? What if I just decide to turn my life around? See, when you ask such questions, they're like triggers. Yeah. Because you can lead a normal life. You can get born, start a life, get into the rat race, become go to school, party with all people, blah blah blah. Get a job, have children, get retirement, get pension, have grandkids, then death.
And also about that question, I always ask myself most of the time, do you think in life and the time in which things will ever get easy?
It's difficult. I think there's this combination I usually say. Life is difficult, it's never simple. I mean, no, life is difficult. Life is the opposite of life is difficult, it's not easy. The opposite of difficult, maybe let's put it to be easy. And so that's in the first quadrant. The first quadrant is difficult, easy, so it will never be easy. Then it's simple and complex. So it's depend here, it's yourself to choose. Will you choose it to be a simple one or a complex one? The complexity comes in when you just think, that's why we have the word average and below. Just an average person. You're not standing out in any particular way.
Because that's one of the biggest questions about most people ask me.
People don't ask themselves questions.
That questions, you know?
People never ask
Do you
themselves
think,
questions.
okay, simplicity and complexity? Because, just for example, I think definition of how your life you want it to be. I don't think in any way it will ever be easier, to be just difficult because I think the president's job is a very difficult
true. So it's
a person,
think of it this way also.
Okay. I'm trying to think of giving me just a point. And I think a person who also goes to Django.
Yeah, the life is difficult.
The life is difficult. Yeah. So
choose your heart, man.
That's what I was trying to put. And I think
choose your heart.
Choose your heart.
Yeah, because there's different pain. I mean, if it's the pain of me setting up a startup that becomes worth $1 billion revenue, and the pain of talking to investors, flying 1 week, I'm just flying to San Francisco. I mean, when I sit down and think about it, I'll be so happy.
Because that's the hard
but think about it, I just chose an average different stuff.
Yeah, because
it will birth regret and nothing else.
But because okay, I know most people talk about the excitement of traveling and everything in San Francisco, in Kenya, but I also think that it's also very mentally tiring and everything. I think it's also
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah. So choose your heart. Bottom line is
choose your heart. And also for a person who's going for Django and everything. Let's say, for example, I think the easiest example in which most people find very easy is being a doctor. When you become a doctor, there's that scenario in which you are being woken up. People complain, I'm being woken up at 5 a.m., go to theater, being a 4 a.m.
That's why you should never admire someone else's life and say, I want it to be like that. Yeah, because what you're simply saying, I want everything that comes with that. The tough choices you need to make, the tough schedules you need to come up with, but the good thing that makes it possible, even when you look up to such people, I wholly believe that we need mentors in life and we need people like templates to look to, is that it shows you one thing. It shows you that it's possible. Yes, it's hard, but it's possible. And just the fact that there's the slightest idea of the possibility of it happening makes it a worthy pursuit. Yeah.
So that question of choosing a difficult,
because choose your heart, man.
Choose your heart. You want to. Okay. I also have another question. In choosing your heart, what do you want it to be when you die? Most common phrases. Yeah. Okay. I know you've already given out the situation. You should never measure success based on everything. But the most common notion being driven to churches is that one day you die and leave the riches. But okay. The most common notion I hear most people talking about it is you're going to be like Elon Musk, making that money, and then you die. Do you think for people like Elon Musk,
I think there are people who die listen, I think there are two kinds of people. People who die miserable and people who die a noble death. But anyway, it's always a doorway to something a greater life.
But personally, I don't think for it's
So
always
which one is better? Which one is better? You dying miserable or you
okay.
dying?
Yeah, okay. You know, I've debunked that question personally from myself. I think what matter is the legacy.
Just try to think.
Okay. The
I also
impact.
have another, just a simple example.
Mm.
Imagine a person who dies of hunger.
Mm.
Yeah? You died, but because you died because you couldn't work enough for you to have food on your table. And a person who died maybe because of maybe what? A plane crash.